Sorry, we're rushing, but we're trying to cover all of our agenda.
Yep. My dad was an auctioneer, so I'm going to try to channel that and go fast. My name is Kathryn DeLodder, and I'm speaking as a concerned mother and lifelong citizen of the Commonwealth. I'm also a volunteer with the Kentucky Medical Freedom Coalition. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not paid to talk to you today. I'm also not a farmer, but like some of you, I grew up on a farm. I was never the one behind the wheel, but I've ridden shotgun a lot of times in a big green tractor or combine. I have family members whose livelihoods are production agriculture in Kentucky right now. Senate Bill 199 is not about labeling reform. It's total immunity shield for pesticide manufacturers who fail to warn users about known health dangers. You're being told this bill is about farmers, but I want to review the actual bill language with you. There's nothing in there about agriculture or farming. The bill begins by saying any pesticide. Pesticide is defined later on page 6, but it's an umbrella term for pretty much anything that kills: fungicide, herbicide, rodenticide, antimicrobials, etc. Section 1 says that this bill applies to any pesticides registered with the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, which is about 14,000 products, or with the EPA under the federal labeling law, FIFRA. And under FIFRA, there are currently around 57,544 registered products. I looked it up in the database just a few days ago. You can look it up too. And this applies to all of those 57,000 products and all new products created in the future. This goes way beyond agriculture. It applies to things that every one of you probably have in your households right now: Lysol, Clorox, any household cleaner that claims to kill germs, flea and tick collars, swimming pool chlorine tablets, wasp spray, weed killer used on playgrounds, mouse poison, DEET-containing mosquito spray, products to kill bugs on the roses in your garden, and it goes on and on. Senate Bill 199 says that if a product has a label approved by the EPA or a label consistent with the most recent human health risk assessment performed under FIFRA — we seem to ignore some of these ors in the bill, which could be decades out of date — you can't hold the manufacturer accountable for failure to warn you when they knew or should have known that the product causes harms not disclosed on the label. You cannot make an informed choice about using a product when you don't have all the facts about that product. This includes products made by numerous foreign companies, like Syngenta, which is owned by the Chinese government. It's not a stretch to say that this bill gives a pass to the Chinese government to develop future products to send here without full disclosure to be sprayed on our children's playgrounds that could cause who knows what harms in the future. The world doesn't exactly have a great track record with things coming out of laboratories in China. Manufacturers say they can't add other warning labels that are not approved by the EPA because this would be misbranding. Manufacturers draft and submit their own labels to the EPA for approval. We can find no instance where the EPA has denied a request from a manufacturer for an updated label. If the request was denied, that would make a great defense in court. If the label was approved for the harm, then there's no failure to warn. Either way, the manufacturer just has to ask. Now, the state of California issue that was mentioned already, the state of California, under their Prop 65, we all kind of like to laugh that California puts a warning label on everything, but they asked to put a warning label on a glyphosate product. The EPA said, well, we don't agree. So they came up with sort of a hybrid label that said, this organization says it causes cancer, but the EPA doesn't. The EPA actually said, okay, we could live with that. You can put that on there. It was Bayer who sued for the state of California, saying that was compelled speech. The EPA did not sue about that label. It was Bayer who sued and said, we don't want to put that on there. The EPA said it's okay. They approved that label. So that was misrepresented here just a moment ago. Bayer, who makes the product that farmers seem most concerned about, is telling investors that they aren't going anywhere. In their March 4th investor presentation, which you can find, Bayer made it clear that they're committed to controlling 40% of the global glyphosate market, quote, with a focus on over-the-top markets in the Americas. Their annual report says they made 2.6 billion euros, and remember, Bayer's a German company, in glyphosate sales in 2025, and they expect to make the same in 26 by, quote, maintaining brand premium. Bayer is using Kentucky farmers as pawns in a global profit strategy and counting on legislators not to notice. So back to the language of the bill. There are some carve-outs that say that the immunity won't apply if the EPA makes a determination of wrongdoing. The issue here is that the EPA appears to have no mechanism to actually make such determinations. The courts are who do that. That section sounds good, but it actually doesn't mean anything because the EPA doesn't do that. And then under that, it says this immunity shall not be interpreted to prohibit a cause of action based on any other provision or doctrine of state law. So there are three main ways that you could bring a claim against a product that has harmed you. The other two, in addition to failure to warn, would be design defect or manufacturing defect, which both might as well not be applicable to these types of products because the product does what it was designed to do, which is kill something. There's not a lot of time to go into detail on that. This bill has been rejected by far more states than have passed it. It's only passed in 2 states. And farmers in those states that have rejected it still have access to the same tools as our farmers here in Kentucky. Our farmers and our families deserve accountability when companies withhold information. Please do not give pesticide manufacturers permission to lie in Kentucky.
Thank you, Ms. DeLodder. And Senator, we'll ask you to come back. We do have some questions for you.